Hello, FPV pilots. This is Smooth Virus, call sign Virus. And apologies for the potato quality webcam video tonight, but I've been thinking about making this video for a while. As you probably can tell if you subscribe to my channel or watch my videos, we are grounded here in the Metro DC area, so I am unable to fly any of my planes anywhere within 30 miles of Reagan National Airport, KDCA. And since I live probably, as the crow flies, 7 miles from the airport, I have to drive a pretty long way to fly anything right now. I actually am a member of the AMA, Academy of Model Aeronautics, and I'm also a member of Capillaria Soaring Association of Montgomery County. That's the club where I've been flying, and that's all closed along with all the other clubs that are anywhere around here. DC metro area has a population of about 6 million people, so the government has come in and taken away the RC flying hobby from 6 million people. It is illegal to fly anything around here, even kites. Kites are illegal. So, you know, if you got your kid a kite for Christmas and you go out on a nice breezy day to fly it, you can be arrested. And Child Protection Service can seize your children and take them from you. Now, do I think that's really going to happen? Do I think that's realistic? No, but it is illegal, and technically you can get arrested. Now, I can't... When I was a kid, I used to fly those 25-cent Gillows free flight rubber band powered models. I used to fly those in my yard. Yeah, that's completely illegal. They probably would arrest me because, you know, I've been on TV like 3 times talking about this stuff now. Well, let's back up to where this started. This all started on Christmas Day, and I wasn't here. I was at my mother's house for Christmas, and I came back home, and there's all these emails flying around. I'm getting all these messages on Facebook that everybody's closed, that the police showed up at Prince George's RC Club and told everybody to get out, and you know, I was like, what? And so here's what happened. We got these emails. I'll read the first one. This comes from Brian Throop over at the FAA. This is the email that was sent to the AMA from the FAA. Subject, request for your assistance. Good morning, everyone. As we continue our efforts to develop a plan for the resumption of model aircraft operations in the Washington, D.C. Special Flight Rules Area, SFRA, we are hearing reports that some individuals may be flying inside the SFRA even though they know it is in violation of the current airspace restrictions. You're asking for your help in spreading the word to the National Capital Region model aircraft community that you just destroyed that such activity is subject to enforcement action and could damage our efforts to secure the interagency concurrence that is critical to this effort. As I have told many of you over the last weeks and months, there is increasing governmental support to make this happen, both within FAA and the whole of government, but our combined efforts could easily be delayed or derailed entirely by any incidents that involve folks knowingly operating within the SFRA in violation of current airspace restrictions. We know that the vast majority of model aircraft hobbyists and enthusiasts, whether they are members of a formal organization or not, wholeheartedly follow the rules, police themselves and others, do everything they can to operate safely and legitimately. Anything you can do to help us get the word out would be deeply appreciated. The last thing anyone wants to hear from the federal government is be patient, but you folks have been patient and understanding, and we sincerely appreciate both as we work to try and get you back in the air. So, I'm going to skip the next paragraph. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. Yeah, Merry Christmas, you're grounded. So that was my Christmas present from the FAA, me and everyone else around here. This is the email we got from Jay Marsh over at the AMA. My dear clubs in and around the DC SFRA, let me first say Merry Christmas to one and all, and I hope Santa was good to you. The FAA has requested that we stop operations at our AMA fields that are inside the DC Special Flight Rules area for the DC area called the DC CFRA. The letter attached is from Ray Stinchcomb. I'm going to skip this part. You will not need to close the field, only cease operations temporarily, no flying of anything until mid-January when we expect to get permission to continue operations for all fields. Well, today is January the 15th for the next 3 minutes, so it is mid-January now, and we are still grounded with no word on when we will be flying again anytime soon. By the FAA's count, there are 36 flying sites within the DC CFRA. AMA can account for 14 of those. Please pass the word to the drone user groups that they need to stop operations too. The FAA did indicate they were using law enforcement to enforce this. I'm going to skip the next paragraph. Effective as soon as possible, please post the suggested sign at your flying site. This is a no-fly zone. Until further notice, the FAA has requested that all flying operations be discontinued. This is a no-fly zone. Please contact your club officer for more information. So that's that. That's what we got on Christmas. While I'm sitting here talking to you, I'll throw up a map of the DC area. So the inside circle should be red is what we call the flight restricted zone. Now, up until now, we were told that we weren't allowed to fly in there. And I'll be frank, a lot of people were doing it because they weren't enforcing that as long as you were outside of the Beltway up until recently. I think that has all come to an end. So people were joining clubs and flying there. This also included me. I was flying at CASA when I wanted to test things or fly models line of sight. And if I wanted to do anything that was BVLOS, I would drive down to a rural area near my mother's house in Fredericksburg and fly there. Or I'd go down to that beach in Stafford County and do some flying there. I've only been there twice. That beach is about a mile outside the CFRA. So that's actually the minimum distance that I now have to drive in order to fly. All right, so on the map here, you'll notice an outer red circle around Washington, D.C., which extends south through Stafford County and the Dahlgren area. To the east, it's about halfway across the Chesapeake Bay, and to the north, through the southern part of Baltimore, and to the west, past Dulles Airport and Manassas, out towards the Blue Ridge Mountains. That is the CFRA, where up until recently, the FAA was allowing us to fly model aircraft and fly them at clubs or park flying or whatever, what have you. You'll notice that it's a large area. I have been told that by square miles it is larger than the state of Delaware. And it extends into some very rural areas in southern Maryland, in Virginia, places where there's basically nothing. I can tell you down there in Charles County, which almost entirely is within the CFRA, there's basically nothing down there. I've flown down there several times, and there's nothing down there but trees. So a model aircraft is flying in that area is a risk to nothing. But according to the FAA, that is now a threat to national security, and you can't fly there. So that's what we're left with. The situation has reached the pinnacle of ridiculousness. As previously mentioned, a Gillows free flight model that cost, I don't know, it probably costs about $1.50 now, is such a threat to national security that you can't even fly one within 30 miles of Washington, D.C. So watch out for those ISIS terrorist Gillows flying model. You might even be able to strap a firecracker to one of those things. Oh no! I do know some people over the FAA that I've been talking to, and they've kind of been giving me the lowdown on what's been going on. And actually, DCRC, which is one of the other clubs around here, posted an update to their Facebook page but what the FAA has been telling them, and it pretty much is exactly the same thing that I was told by people from the FAA as well. So let's just read that, and that's going to fill in some details and bring us up to date. All right, so this is the update that was posted to DCRC's Facebook page today. The details. Below is what was explained regarding the CIFRA situation. 1. Mid-2014, Dallas federal court case against a commercial drone operator. During the appellate process, the judge made a legal decision upholding the public law that states the FAA legally controls the national airspace and that anything flies does so within the NAS and is an airplane, whether free-flying or tethered. In other words, our models are legally considered no different than a full-scale aircraft. Same goes for control line airplanes and kites. I am fairly certain that they are talking about Perker v. Huerta. Anybody that's been in the hobby for a while knows all about that. So, moving on. 2. March 2015, drone crashes on the White House lawn, bringing national media and law enforcement attention to drones and the potential threat they represent. Because of this, UAS flying, an example, model airplanes in the DC CIFRA, becomes a national security issue. 3. Sergeant within Capitol Police investigating this incident reads the FAA DCFRZ and CIFRA rules and determines, based on the Dallas public law decision, that if anything flying with the NAS is an airplane, given the wording of the CIFRA rules, anyone operating an unmanned aircraft within the DCFRZ or CIFRA is doing so illegally. 4. This sergeant contacts the FAA to ask if his interpretation is legally correct. 5. This sergeant is told that technically he may be correct, but that the FAA has in the past determined that model airplanes did not really need authorization or restriction other than those stated, and did not have any desire or have any intentions to shut down model aircraft within the DC CIFRA. 6. The sergeant, not satisfied, takes the issue to the Capitol Chief of Police, and the director of the FAA is contacted. 7. The FAA legal department is directed to review the sergeant's request and determines that he is correct in his interpretation. 8. As a consequence of the legal review, FAA drafts the AC 91.57A advisory and releases it on September 5th. I don't think that date is correct, but not very important. Number 9, Capitol Chief of Police unilaterally contacts every law enforcement jurisdiction in Maryland and Virginia within the DC CIFRA and notifies them that any model aircraft operation within their area is illegal, quoting the DC CIFRA rules in AC 9157A. 10, at least one field in Northern Virginia is closed as a result. That would be NVRC. 11, the FAA issues NJO 7210.8901 on November 25th. Anything flying in the DCFRZ and CIFRA is assumed to be operating in controlled national security airspace, including model airplanes. 12. The FAA assumed, based on the release of AC 9157A on September 5 and NJO 7210.8901 on November 25th, that the AMA would inform their membership to cease all model airplane operations within the DC CIFRA. They didn't. 13. The FAA issues the December 23rd email requesting that all model airplane operations cease. And there you have it. If you want to get upset with anybody, possibly the Capitol Police is a good place to start. Another could be the judge in Dallas. Ultimately, our Congress should probably have written the laws much clearer than they did. ... There you have it. So now we're grounded. And I'm sure people are going to say, well, Cyrus, why don't you just suck it up, put your planes in your car, and drive to Fredericksburg and shut the hell up. Stop complaining. But the problem with that is, yes, I can drive to Fredericksburg, and right now driving down there isn't too bad because it's winter. But as anybody in Northern Virginia knows, as soon as school lets out and we get the warm weather, the beach traffic will tie up 95 every weekend, and for me to get to Fredericksburg, even to get to that beach in Stafford, you're looking at an hour and a half to 2 hours. So a round trip of around 4 hours, and that's to fly anything, even my Micro Striker, which is about this big, this big, and otherwise I go to jail. I wind up in the back of a squad car with handcuffs on. It is not worth it to drive 4 hours round trip to fly a micro-sized RC airplane. So I realize that there are people at the FAA who are also RC hobbyists and are working very hard to get us back in the air. Now, what they're telling me is that they're coming up with plans, but anything they come up with has to be stamped and approved by not only the Capitol Police, but also the Secret Service. And if the Secret Service or the Capitol Police veto anything in the plan, then that's it. We're still grounded. So we will remain grounded until the Secret Service and the United States Capitol Police gives the go-ahead for us to fly. And if they decide that we don't, we will not. And that's the end of that. So we're stuck. To say the least, I'm pretty frustrated with the FAA right now. And to be quite frank, I'm pretty disappointed in the AMA. And that's saying a lot, you know. Typically in this hobby, we say a lot of great things about the AMA, and usually they do quite well. But I've got nothing. I have no club that I can fly at anymore, unless I want to join the one in Fredericksburg. But like we said, by the time the nice flying weather gets here, that's a 4-hour round trip. So it takes me 30 minutes to get to Casa, so that's not so bad. 30 minutes I'll deal with, but 2 hours, no thanks. So at this point, why should I renew my AMA membership? Really, why? It's a waste of $80. I might as well take that $80 and throw it in the fireplace and burn it up, because that's about how much good it does me. The AMA is telling us they're working on this. I hope so. You'd better find a solution quick, because you can tell I'm getting pissed off right now, and I'm pretty mad because I've got thousands of dollars wrapped up in RC equipment, and aviation has been my passion my whole life, and this hobby has been snatched away from me by a bunch of bureaucrats and cops. And I'm not a threat to anybody. I'm very careful about safety. I'm not a terrorist. I'm not a criminal. I'm not a safety hazard. But I'm grounded. I'll be quite frank. I've been starting to do reviews. I've been approached by companies to start doing reviews, and I was more than happy to do that, but if we get into June or July timeframe and we're still grounded, I don't see any point in continuing. I will quit. I will sell all my gear and quit the hobby. And I am not renewing my AMA. Sorry. While we're grounded, what is the point of renewing my AMA membership? I'm done with AMA while we're grounded. I have no use for the AMA anymore. And you're a bunch of nice guys, but I'm sorry. What have you done for me lately? Nothing. I don't intend on renewing my AMA membership until the clubs are back open. Now, that could happen tomorrow. Hey, great. I'll renew my AMA membership the day that the clubs are open, and no hard feelings. But for now, what's the point? You know? I'll do some flying here and there. You can see back on the bench back here, I've got my mini Talon that I'm building, and that's the last build I'm going to do. I don't plan on buying anything RC related while we're grounded either. What is the point of buying any new planes? I'm sitting here smiling, but I'm not a happy guy. Pretty frustrated, pretty upset. My passion has been taken away from me. So, well, that's where we are. It's kind of funny that I feel like the FAA is more on my side than anybody else. Let's hope we get this worked out. I'm prepared to not fly in parks in Northern Virginia anymore. I think park flying in this area is done. I don't think anybody will be doing any park flying in Northern Virginia for the rest of my lifetime. I I think probably we'll get the clubs opened back up, but there's no guarantees. My plan, if the clubs open up, then I'll go fly my line of sight stuff there and fly my gliders there, and I'll test out my FPV equipment. And then I can drive out to the country once a month. And yes, it is worth a 4-hour round trip to go spend a whole day flying my Sabre or my Penguin and do some long range stuff. But I can't do that every weekend. So all right, I'm rambling. So let's. I'm just going to wrap this up and say I hope we get flying again, and that goes for me and everybody else. And I already know people that are quitting this hobby, and all their gear is up for sale on RC groups and Facebook right now. So they're out. I'm not going to throw in the towel yet, but I'm going to give this until probably June. Maybe I'll go to the Pecan Patch, and that'll be my last hurrah, and then that's it. I'm out. So everybody have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you soon.